Would you please repeat the Pledge of Allegiance after me? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Post colors. Card guard salute flag. 2. Card guard dismissed. The audience may be seated.
Thank you very much, Scouts. That was an awesome job. To begin the meeting, we have a video, and I have to tell you, I was asked to present at the Salt Lake Board of Realtors, our city, and I asked our staff to make a video about our city, and it was so fabulous. I wanted the entire council to be able to see what our staff created for our city, and I'm so proud of our city, and this video just tells you a little bit about our city. So if you don't mind watching this to begin the meeting, David, can you start it, please?
Civic Center is in a prime location at 8000 South Redwood Road. Anchored by City Hall, this area includes the County Library Headquarters, a State 3rd District Courthouse, West Jordan Justice Center, and a fire station. It also features the 100-acre Veterans Memorial Park, which is adjacent to an arena, County Rec Center, and Senior Center. A county health clinic is under construction to round out the services offered. Across the street from City Hall, 13 acres are ready to redevelop into a mixed-use city center project, which is adjacent to the Mid-Jordan Tracks line. Plans are underway to call for a hotel, small conference center, and a mix of retail and housing. Northeast of City Center is the historic Gardner Village, a growing tourist destination with charming specialty shops, restaurants, indoor soccer fields, and easy access to the tracks line. Next to 90th South and Vanguard, you'll find Jordan Valley Medical Center, Salt Lake Community College, and the new Jordan Valley Transit-oriented development, which will include residential and office buildings with easy access to the Mid-Jordan Tracks line and Vanguard Highway. Jordan Valley Medical Center is a full-service hospital that has been taking care of the community for more than 25 years. They're adding a state-of-the-art community cancer center, which will be opening in 2016. SLIC's Jordan campus offers a variety of programs and is part of the largest statewide network of colleges in Utah. A Center's large industrial manufacturing building with over 293,000 square feet of building space and 59 acres of manufacturing zoned land. This space is ready for a new industrial tenant. Jordan Landing features nearly 2 million square feet of retail space and is situated in a master planned community. It's adjacent to the South Valley Regional Airport, which is equipped to handle corporate jets and small single or twin engine planes. The east side of the airport has over 100 acres available for aviation or industrial development. Just south of the airport, you'll find plenty of kids playing soccer and other sports and the popular youth sports complex. The city's 50 parks and 33 sports fields are community favorites with young and old alike. The area near 5600 West and 7800 South is rapidly growing and features a new Smith Marketplace that anchors the Highland Shopping Center. New subdivisions are also popping up, and there's plenty of land left for future development. The recent expansion of 5600 West improves connectivity to the area and adds bike lanes, sidewalks, and additional streetlights for improved safety and aesthetics. Mountain View Corner also opens up the area and provides opportunities for retail and industrial. Is springing to life with new homes and recreational amenities, including a regional park that will total 64 acres when all phases are complete. City officials are also in talks with the county to bring a new rec center to the area. The area west of Highway U-111 is known as the West Bench and ranges from approximately 5,100 to 5,300 feet in elevation. This is comparable to the Bonneville Shoreline Trail and the mouth of Little Cottonwood Canyon on the east side of the valley. The West Bench offers beautiful views of the entire valley. Plans for this prime area include middle and high-end housing, parks, schools, shopping, sports fields, and more. In addition to its growing residential and commercial sectors, West Jordan is home to several major industrial powerhouses, including Boeing, SME Steel, Oracle, Cisco, Stubbs, and Dana, and there's plenty of room for more. The Roderick Industrial Building is ready to house multiple small businesses, and several prime properties are available for large industrial development. All the necessary power, water, sewer, and rail lines are nearby. In addition to the Mountain View Corridor, Vanguard Highway, nearby I-215 and I-15, and ongoing expansion of east-west transportation corridors.
I can tell you for sure that approximately 300 of the real estate community were just as impressed as you were with that video. I was able to present this video and talk about our city with two other cities, and I can tell you one thing, we outshined them. And thanks to our staff for putting that together. We really appreciate it. Item 4 is a presentation of a check from Comcast for Comcast Cares Days. Julie?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. If it's okay, I'd like to invite you down to meet some of the people that helped us organize all of this.
Let's please stand.
As you recall, Comcast Cares came back to us a second year in a row this year, and we were able to work on multiple projects throughout West Jordan. Some of those projects include Parks, some of our facilities, as well as South Valley Sanctuary, and also Copper Hills High School. With that, the money that Comcast Cares donated was divided out depending on the number of volunteers that they each provided. Mayor, I think you were at Copper Hills and were able to work with the students there on sprucing up the school and the grounds and everything that they did. First, I'd like to invite up the West Jordan Exchange Club. So the West Jordan Exchange Club, for the second year in a row, has helped us organize the volunteers and the check-in and different things like that. So we actually have $1,000 for them. So Jen Campbell's actually doing double duty tonight, if you'll just stay here for a moment. South Valley Sanctuary not only provided us projects, but also volunteers to help with all of those projects. In bringing the risk managers around and looking at the projects and what we could do, Comcast Cares actually found extra money that they purchased a heavy-duty playground beyond what we were working on just for their shelter to put up. And so their volunteers and everybody helped with that. South Valley Sanctuary gets $5,500. The next and by far our largest group that participated was Copper Hills High School, if I can invite them up. We appreciate all the efforts and everything they put into not only recruiting students to help us at all the activities, but the work that they put into the grounds and beautifying the area around Copper Hills High School. And the number of volunteers that they brought in earned them just over $10,000. We want to thank everybody for their support of the Comcast Cares Day, and to let City Council know that Comcast Cares has requested that the City of West Jordan be a recipient for the third year in a row, coming up in 2016 for April 23rd. Thank you.
Communications. City Manager?
I don't have anything, Mayor.
City Attorney?
I don't have anything, thank you.
David Oken?
Yes, just to let you know, we did hire the new building inspector, Mr. Tim Dabb, who is working out fantastic. He stepped right in and has helped us out tremendously. So thank you.
Ryan?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Nothing tonight.
Ryan?
Well, I'll make up for everybody else. Just wanted to give you an update on the ERP system, Munis. We're working with the conversion team right now on our utility billing stuff. It's been a difficult process to work through. We are hoping that one of these conversion packages will come through this week, which will allow us to start parallel testing, which is basically our meter readers will go out with 2 antennas and 2 computers and read twice. We'll run our normal one through our legacy system, and then run a a parallel test into our new Munis system. If this begins to work out and we can get all 4 districts working, we would be able to go live basically 4 weeks from successful parallel testing, which we're very excited about being able to do. We have received training on the cash receipts part of that, and we're ready to go as soon as the utility billing is ready to go, as is the same with the business licensing. Our big step has been the utility billing. It sets up the accounts for all of the people, and these accounts will be used for business licensing, for utility billing, and anything else they come in to do, even in the permitting phase of things, so that the customer will have one number here at West Jordan, and everything they'll be able to see through that customer number. So we're very happy about that. We also got word today that the new version of Munis is ready, so we'll be going through an upgrade. Within that upgrade, it includes the customizations we had to go live with our permits. So we are moving closer and closer each day to being fully functional within our ERP. Second is the quarterly report. I'll be emailing that out to you later tonight. That is ready to go and will be presented to council on the 28th. As our city manager mentioned last council meeting, we've made some changes to the format that we hope will help you guys enhance the use of the report and be able to move forward with that. Third thing is the audit. We are still on schedule to basically be done with the audit by November, and hope to have the CAFR, like I said, around the Thanksgiving mark. We're still pushing ahead with that as we go along. The fourth thing within the finance department is we have been short one staff, the staff that you guys were kind enough to give us last year. Of course, he resigned and went over to be the treasurer at South Jordan. So we have hired his replacement. He'll be starting on the 26th, and actually has some extensive experience within the Munis system, doing some things that will help us greatly. And that's all I have for tonight.
Thank you. Wendell?
Nothing this evening, Mayor. Thank you.
Chief McElvey?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just one item I want to update you on. Last Saturday, the West Jordan Fire Department participated in the 3rd annual Chili Cook-Off. It's an event that raises money for the University of Utah Burn Camp. And that event raised just over $10,000 to support kids to go to burn camp each year. And I'm happy to report that West Jordan Fire and the about 20 firefighters that came out and volunteered their time, we took home 2 first places. First place in chili and our first place for our booth, and appreciate everybody that came out and supported it, including our city manager who came and tried some of our chili. So thank you.
Chief Diamond?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Just to let you know that we have a new officer that we started on Monday, and then we anticipate 5 more officers starting between the 1st of November and the middle of December as we complete their backgrounds and get them started and get them going. So that will bring us to full staff.
Thank you. Council comments. Councilmember Rice?
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the fire department for my lovely T-shirt for breast cancer, and I'll definitely be wearing that this night. Thank you for that. And that's all. Thank you.
Councilmember Hagan? Nothing, Mayor. Councilmember Hanson?
I also want to thank the fire department for the T-shirt. Thank you very much.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Thank you, Mayor. Special thanks to the Scouts. Sorry. Thank you for the flag ceremony and for the respect and dignity that you showed, and for helping us start off our meeting on that note. Special thanks to Mr. Roger Allen, who I sat with, just over 22 years ago. He okayed my Eagle Scout project. I had to go to him to get him to approve it. He oversaw it. And then about 22 years ago, he was there when I received my Eagle. And Mike Christensen, next to him, is one of the men who got me there. And it's primarily Mike's fault. I can't get out a sentence without breaking up. Those were some incredibly good times that I had in Scouts. Those memories, they feel like they were yesterday. Some of the Scout camps we went on, camping out in the desert in his old van, going over to his house before those camps and getting all the dishes and everything ready to go. Learning from him, coming to these same city council meetings. There is so much that you learn. So to the Scouts, please, enjoy this time as much as you can. You're going to remember this forever. And those two men especially, you will hold in high esteem and respect for the rest of your life. Please enjoy every moment you have with them. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. I have nothing tonight, but I believe Mark McElroy. Thank you again, Scott. Chief McElroy had a comment.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I apologize. I did forget one other item. As you know, October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, and we've done this in years past, and I worked with our city manager who was approved for the week of October, last week in October, for the city to wear pink shirts in recognition of that Breast Cancer Awareness Month. The fire department will be selling those shirts that you saw up there. It's not required that you buy those. I know Public Works has created their own for one of their employees. Those shirts that the fire department sells, we will be donating 10% of that to employees, and some of our city employees have been battling cancer. So I just want to say appreciation to our city manager for letting us do that, and to the council, and that was the reason for the shirts. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate it. We'll move now to item 6, citizen comments. We have 3 public hearing items this evening, and if you're here to speak on one of those items, that would be later. If you're here to speak on any other item, now would be the time. I have several signed up to speak. We'll go with those that are listed first. Steve Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. My name is Steve Jones. I live at 3234 West, 6920 South. Too many times we get up and we have complaints. And so I would like to take this opportunity, after visiting with staff last night on the the stormwater project, I thought it was well worth with all the things that have been going on in our city lately, to stand up and just thank the staff, thank the mayor and council. For me, it's been a good experience. It's been a respectful experience, and for that, I appreciate. There's a lot of things in the news that talks about our city not being, making it sound like we're not very respectful, but the instances I have are the exact opposite, and I've had the opportunity to interact with the mayor and with different council members and with city staff, and each one of those experiences has really been a good experience, and for that I thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. June Christiansen? Okay. Alexandra Efremov.
Mayor and Council, could we please pause and meditate? Ladies and gentlemen, may we pause for a moment to reflect upon our common goals. Before we begin the business of this meeting, we are privileged to gather here together in a system that gives us freedom to participate in our own governance. Whether from within or through the strength provided by our personal faiths, we seek wisdom, understanding, fairness, and resolve in the fulfillment of our duties and in the pursuance of our goals. May our differences be respected and our common aspiration of promoting the public good be our guide in carrying out the tasks we're about to undertake. Thank you. I too want to say, I've seen a lot of Boy Scout presentations, but I do have to say, tonight was the best. It was it was done so professionally, I cannot compliment all of you enough. I'm still waiting for a apology to the mayor, to the city council, and the city of West Jordan of one of our council members on the behavior of that council person back in April 29th. Now, I've never run for political office, but I have been involved in politics a long time in my life. And what happened that night is abominable. You know, when people run for council, you better run and you better have a thick skin. If somebody throws a pencil, they're not going to say, hey, nice shot. That is abominable. It's abominable behavior, and I am going to continue asking for that person. You represent your district, but you also represent West Jordan City. I'm still waiting. Also, I have a gripe against code ordinance. I've gone in there several times telling them we have our several incumbents here that are putting up campaign signs on illegal UDOT property. UDOT does not allow campaign signs on their property. I've even mentioned it directly to the council member. You know, ethics is very important in politics, folks. You're supposed to represent your district and the city. But when you do unethical things like that, that distorts your character and goes down. The sign that I'm still complaining about is on Bangor and 90,000 South. It's illegal. I've gone to code enforcement. They're not doing anything about it. Now I know why you all don't want a penalty if you're putting signs up illegally. Not right. Thank you.
Thank you. Scott Hagerman.
Hello, my name is Scott Hagerman. I'm here representing the National Parents Organization Utah chapter. My phone number is 772-245-0502. Over the last 2 years, to let you know a little bit, I guess, about what the National Parents Organization is, we're a nonprofit organization that focuses on non-custodial parents' rights and making sure that the child has access to both parents. A number of years ago, we did have a law that was passed here in Utah which criminalizes parental kidnappings, or as it's codified, custodial interference. Over the last 2 years, I personally received numerous complaints about unprosecuted cases in West Jordan City. Chief Diamond and I have spoken a number of times, and he has been, just to let you know, he's been wonderful. He's communicated timely and professionally, and every time that we've attempted to find out about cases or what's going on. But I would like to ask the council and the city manager's office to do something from what it appears, and hopefully I'm not speaking out of place here, it appears that the issue is more on the prosecution end of things. When an officer writes a case up, it usually goes to a detective. From there, it's referred for charges, and it seems like a lot of these cases nothing is done with them. That's an issue not only in West Jordan, but it is an issue in the majority of the cities throughout Utah, because a lot of times the prosecutors' offices the city can make it more income or easier income off of speeding tickets and other things, but these are real crimes that are happening. When a parent withholds parent time or custody time, whether it's a non-custodial or a custodial parent, that's a key indicator that there is, one, emotional abuse, and also there's a high likelihood of some type of physical abuse going on in the home. One of the reasons why those things need to be looked at, I would say from the police officer's standpoint, is when you have somebody who is denying parent time. I'm assuming most of your parents, if you're not able to see your children, despite court orders, you go and you try and get help. You don't get any help despite the law being on your side. That's when tempers flare, that's when emotions rise up, and then you end up possibly having a domestic violence or having an escalated call that easily could have been nipped in the bud just by some prosecution. One person who complained last year actually had 37 different incidents of this happening in West Jordan. So it's not just once or twice, and even if it is once or twice, I still strongly believe that that is an important thing that needs to be looked at. To give you an idea, a year after, there are 40% of fathers who have not seen their children in over a year who are divorced. 40%. Some of those are legitimate. Maybe they're jerks, maybe they're abusive, whatever, but we know that that's not all of those fathers. And do you have any questions? I know my time is up.
Thank you. I have one question. You said 37 times one incident happened in the city?
With one complainant. They had 37 different reports. This last week, I believe it was a week ago, possibly 2 weeks ago, I just received another complaint from another individual. Like I said, I know West Jordan is not the only city that's struggling with this. We recently met with another city over in, I would say in Sandy. They didn't even know that it was a crime. Some of their officers were still telling people that it's a civil issue. It has been criminalized. It's a Class B misdemeanor, punishable by up to a half year in jail. Fines, if you want to look at it from an income side for the city, a fine for a Class B misdemeanor can be $1,000, and with additional penalties, it can be up to $1,800. So I hate to throw money out there, but if that's what it takes to get action on these types of things, there's a financial end that the city could benefit too, but mostly helping those parents and helping those children, that's the key thing for me.
Thank you. We still have 4 signed up for the public hearing items. Is there anyone else wishing to speak on another item other than public hearing at this time? Please come forward. Please state your name and address.
My name is Lynn Rasman. I reside at 6417 West, 7800 South here in West Jordan. And I want to stand up here tonight, thank our mayor and our council. I'm very disappointed at the publicity that has been put on our city by people in our council. But we hear too much of this. We don't hear any of the good. We only hear the complaints and the raves and the bad things. And tonight I want to stand here and tell you that Mr. Jones, Councilman McConaughey, to hear them say good things about our city makes my heart swell. And I want to thank Melanie Briggs. Every week she is here, every time. She has been with us for probably 20, 30 years. I know I've been here for over 20 years. She does a great job. You never come that you don't see her. She does minutes. You can call her. She gives you anything you want. And I think that to have these kind of people in our employment for the city is outstanding. And I think we need to recognize some of the good things in our city and not all these bad, horrible things that are going to the press and going to the television and going in our city journal. Let's put our good things forward. I had company come from Idaho and say, what in the world is going on in West Jordan? It made me feel like crap. And I think it's time that we work together as a team in a city and did something for our people and quit fighting with one another. Let's be more positive and do good things. Thank you.
Thank you. We can't do that or I'll have to clear the hall. Anyone else wishing to speak during citizens' comments, please come forward. There can't be any booing or displays, I'm sorry.
My name is Zach Wilkes, and I live at 2800 West, 7460 South. And first off, I'd like to start off by saying that I do not enjoy politics. But in light of some comments made to the media concerning sexual discrimination by Councilmember Rice, I feel I need to be here tonight and get this on the record. In June of 2013, my family and I were asked by Mayor Rolfe to campaign with him during the parade. He asked me if this would interfere with any of our family activities for the 4th of July. And then on a later date, I was asked to campaign for him door to door. And again, I was asked if this would have any negative impact on my family. And then all throughout the campaign, He continued to make sure that the demands of the campaign weren't interfering with our family life. And through the whole thing, I never thought of this question to be anything but concern for my time or the time of my family. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing? Please.
My name is Scott Rice. I live at 8077 South Big Springs Drive. I'm here to thank Sophie Rice for having the courage to do what she's done, to come forward. I know that what was said in the media was brought on by a document that was released that shouldn't have been released, and the issues at hand, no one knows until everything is brought to light exactly what's going on. And I want to urge you guys to bring it forward. If there's things that are being said, if there are things that are being accused of, and you've got proof that it's not happening, then stand up for yourselves. But I'm tired. I'm tired of what's going on in this city. I'm tired of the fact that you guys can't work together. I'm tired of the fact that that we can't get anything done in this city. I was on the Parks and Open Land Committee, and there's been nothing going on for a year because of the infighting and the backbiting and everything that's come on. And I just want to say on the record that what's said in the news and what's said in the media is not the whole story. It's part of the story. Councilman Haga, tell your side of the story. Mayor Rolfe, tell your side of the story. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to speak tonight?
Jalen Thomas, 1348 West Barton Hollow Drive. And I would like to address this document. However, this document was released by the city in July to the Valley Journal. So you can accuse your staff or the city attorney's office for releasing that information, along with some very, very interesting emails that I grandma'd on his grandma request. In addition, on April 8th, and then again on another incident, there was issues related to an employee. Well, those may have been recorded, those conversations in relationship to what happened on August 8th after you guys went back into closed door meeting, but I will never let you know. And no, I am not paranoid. I'm smart. I know how to document. I work for the feds. You always document, document, document. So this all needs to stop. In addition to this questionable question by the mayor, I've been asked that. I've been asked that by city council members. I have been asked that by citizens. I have been asked that by friends. Is my participation in city politics worth it? Yes, because I'm going to continue to say my voice. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will close the citizen comments and move to the consent calendar. No one has told me of any consent items that need to be pulled. Councilmember Rice.
I would like to pull E.
E?
E.
Item E is pulled for later discussion. Motion would be in order.
Except item E be approved.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Hanson and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion to the motion? Let's vote.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
The vote passes 5 in favor.
Okay, public hearing item 8A. Receive public input and consider for approval the contribution of police services and an encroachment permit for Joyful Welcome, a nonprofit entity valued at $1,460. Darian?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Joyful Welcome has requested a road closure in order to do a 5K and a stroller walk. They would like, as a nonprofit entity, for the city to make a charitable contribution in the amount that's listed in the staff report, and that would consist of us providing police services and also an encroachment permit. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Questions? Seeing none, I will open the public hearing portion of this item. Separate to speak on this item. Kathy Newbold.
I'm Kathy Newbold. I'm a member of the Board of Directors for Joyful Welcome. I'm not sure everyone knows. Like the mayor said, we are a nonprofit 501(c)(3) or C3 charity, but we benefit mainly new moms and their babies here at Jordan Valley Medical Center. Approximately, there's 180 babies born every month, and out of that 180, 27 or 15% need a helpful start. They're either homeless or they don't have the proper support at home, and we supply needed items for essential items for that first week of life and on. And we're a fairly new charity. We've been around. We started May 1st, and in just from May 1st to August 31st, we have donated over 86 layettes to the Jordan Valley Medical Center. The nurses are the ones who choose, not choose, but they know their patients, who is in need of these services. And we have been working very closely with them. Our funds are limited. We are strictly donations, nonprofit. Nobody on our board is paid. And 100% of the funds we receive go straight to putting together these layettes. And if we can get the sponsorship from the city, that will help our funds go a little bit farther in helping more children that are born in our city. Each layette is approximately right around $45, because we do put in formula, diapers and wipes, other essential items. And I just ask for the city support with our Hocus Pocus 5K run and stroller roll. Thanks.
Thank you. Rachel Edwards.
Hello. My name is Rachel Lewis. Actually, Edwards is my maiden name. So sorry, just for the clarification there. But I grew up here in West Jordan in the community. I actually currently live in Lehi, Utah, so I can't give a valid West Jordan address, but my parents are still citizens there, or residents there. I became involved in Joyful Welcome in July for a couple of reasons. One being that growing up in the West Jordan community, I really care about this community. I think it's really a wonderful place. I enjoyed growing up here. The women in this organization, I was recently voted a member of the Board of Trustees and helping out with the communications as well as the quote-unquote race director, but there's many of the women here behind me that could easily talk about this just as well as I could. But since I'm kind of heading up the race efforts, that's why I've decided to speak with you tonight. So that's one of the reasons that I love West Jordan community, and the women here that I work with have supported me in my life in religious pursuits. They threw me baby shower for my first baby, and now I have two, and it was really very helpful for me. The second reason is just kind of to echo on that, or to kind of elaborate on that, that being a new mother of two, it's very difficult to be a mom. It's the hardest thing personally for me that I've ever done. And so I had all this support and all these people around me and baby showers and all these supplies, and it was still very difficult, and it still is, even though I love it. So I can only imagine when I heard about these mothers that don't have anything, that go home without clothes for their newborns, it really touched me. And so as someone who one day would like to get my master's of public administration, I saw this as an opportunity both personally that I wanted to give back, and also I thought it would be some great experience. So we're holding our Hocus Pocus 5K and stroller roll. We think it's going to be a really fun activity on October 24th. We're hoping to raise some funds for these moms and babies. With West Jordan City's sponsorship of this, like Mayor Rolfe mentioned, $1,460, West Jordan City would be able to sponsor and provide these newborn essentials to 30 to 40 moms and babies, which is not insignificant. So I hope that you would consider this as something really important to our community and the well-being of those that live here. Thank you.
Thank you. Kathy Edwards.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. First of all, I just want to say I agree with Councilman McConaughey, and I appreciate those touching words because I'm the state primary president over these boys, and for them to look at you and hear you say those words really, I think, was powerful to them, to know that someday they could grow up and be just like you or make a difference in their community like you're doing. So I appreciate that. And I'd also like to thank Mayor Rolfe for his dedication to the city of West Jordan and for all that he puts forth. I love babies, and I keep very busy with my family. I have 5 grandbabies under the age of 5. I didn't introduce myself. I'm Kathy Edwards, and I'm the Secretary of Joyful Welcome. I like to be involved in the community, and I like to see people be involved in the community. And so Joyful Welcome has been that for me. I spend about 15 to 25 hours a week doing things for Joyful Welcome. I do not accept any money for this. This 5K and silent auction will hopefully become established as an annual event in West Jordan. It's a fun way to come together as a community and support a great cause. Businesses have given some amazing donations for the auction and for prizes, and this will promote business at Jordan Landing and other areas in the valley. Hopefully you can see what an impact this is making, and we still need to make the public aware of Joyful Welcome and the good things that it's doing, and we hope to do that in the future. If we could get the steady funding each year, then we wouldn't need to ask for so much help. This has been a much bigger job than any of us ever expected it to be. So we would appreciate so much if West Jordan City could sponsor the Hocus Pocus 5K and Stroller Roll silent auction on Saturday, October 24th at 8:30 in the morning at Jordan Landing. Do you have any questions?
Any questions from council?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wishing to speak on this item? Please come forward.
Alexandra Efraimo, 3735 Judd Circle. When I heard about Joyful Welcome, I was truly joyful. I mean, to think that this idea has started, well, can I say who started it? The mayor's wife, Joy, started it. And we have to compliment her, but the idea is growing and growing and growing, and it's awesome. What I'd like to see, Planned Parenthood, I'm anti-abortion, 1,000,000%. And for them to be selling the fetus for profit has just been a nightmare. But if we can start getting out word more and more to our women that are having children, that they thank you youngsters for not aborting and for at least having the baby. There's so many people that will go ahead and adopt, and so much of it is fear that, well, they don't know where to turn. They don't have money. And so this is just a small, teeny, tiny step, but it's a huge beginning. And if we can still, just help them out more and more, I think it's awesome. psychologically, and just a little package is, it just, you have no idea, I'm sure, what that goes to that youngster and that young mother. And if only we can spread the word and just encourage them. I mean, beyond just giving me a little thing, if we can, and I'm sure that this joyful welcome, there are many avenues that can go ahead and outlay from that. So I just cannot be more proud that Joyful Welcome is in West Jordan. It's started by our mayor's wife and all the women, as she said, 20 hours a week, and they do it all out of their hearts. I think it's just absolutely incredible, and God bless you all for doing it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yes, Steve.
Steve Jones. I'd just like to, after reading through the stuff online and the brochures, and I wholeheartedly agree that this is a very worthwhile effort, really minimal cost. I encourage the council to get 100% behind it. Let's back it. This is right now we've heard a lot from the ladies, but from a guy's standpoint, these are the kind of things that make our community strong. When we take care of our own and make sure that they have the first good steps. So I encourage you to pass this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? I will close the public hearing portion of this item and return to the council for action. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, in interest of full disclosure, my wife does sit on the board with the Joyful Welcomes as well, and of course, she doesn't see any financial gain from this, so I don't have any conflict whatsoever in participating in the vote. To the contrary, if it's successful, that means I will be the one trying to wrangle 2 little kids on the morning of October 24th. Not sure how successful I'll be there, but I know how much Joyful Welcomes means to a number of folks, and they do a lot of good. And I would wholeheartedly support this donation. The one thing that I would say in addition to that is if we do make a decision to go ahead and support them with this donation, I think it would also be appropriate to direct staff, namely our PIO, to work with them to see that this is also advertised on the city website and the city Facebook page to help get the word out to as many folks as possible.
Is that a motion?
If there's no other comments, then no other comments?
Councilmember Haga has a comment, but
okay. Well, that being the case, then I move to approve. I need to scroll up to see the number on that. Sorry. Scroll bar is not working. Okay, I move to. Send out a number on this one. Just adopt, no resolution. Okay. 10. So I move to approve the non-monetary donation not to exceed $1,460 and for staff to budget appropriately for the Joyful Welcome Hocus Pocus 5K and stroller roll on October 24th, 2015. And furthermore, direct staff to work with them to see that it's properly advertised through the means that the city has available.
we have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Hanson. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Haga.
I do want to say something because, I was involved with these ladies when they first started this, and I've actually been involved with foundations before, and I knew it could go up, and I'm going to challenge staff and anybody, if I'm going to sign up for this 5K. I turned 60 last week, so will be one of my second 5Ks, so I'm totally approve this motion. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Other discussion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Councilmember Haga,
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Nichols? Oh, wrong one, he's not here, sorry. Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson? Yes. The vote passes 5 in favor.
Public hearing item 8B, receive public input and consider for approval Resolution 15-193 authorizing the mayor to execute an amendment to the agreement for South Valley Services, a nonprofit entity. Receive public comment prior to considering approving a contribution of rental fees for South Valley Sanctuary, a nonprofit entity valued at $5,100. Darian?
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. This is another request for a non-monetary contribution for a nonprofit entity. The South Valley Sanctuary occupies 300 square feet of building space in City Hall. The staff they provide a valuable service. Staff has not had any problems with them being a tenant. They've been a great tenant. They've complied with their lease, but because of the state law and the city ordinance, we're having the public hearing in order to renew the lease and then also to approve the non-monetary contribution. It's been valued at about $425 a month for the 300 square feet, which amounts to $5,100 for this fiscal year. Do you have any questions?
Questions from council? Doesn't look like it. Thank you. We'll now open the public hearing portion of item 8B. If you're here to speak on this item, now would be the time. Seeing, please, come forward, Steve.
You're probably going to get tired of hearing from me tonight. I would, again, after looking at the packet and reviewing, this is another one of those things it's a great asset to our community. It's probably one of those things that's probably unfortunately needed, but I would be behind as a citizen that we extend their lease and let them do the good work that they do. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we will close public hearing item 8B and return to council for comment and or a motion. Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. If no one else is jumping up to the line, I might as well. Far from not having any problems with them as a tenant, I personally take pride in being able to brag that we share this building with them and that we've been able to support them and help them support the community and what they're doing. So with that, I would happily move that we approve the non-monetary contribution of $5,100 to South Valley Sanctuary and approve and authorize the mayor to execute the lease agreement with them as well.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Rice. Discussion to the motion. Councilmember Hanson.
Here, you can borrow mine.
I said I really am behind this motion. I think this is a great service that could be provide to these people who sometimes leave with nothing but what's on their back. I have contributed to this so that these people that do leave with nothing do have something when they're ready to leave. I've also contributed with Joyful Welcome. I think they're both a great thing to have in our city, and that we should all try to contribute to both of these causes. So I do approve this motion. Thank you.
I also have a comment that I believe that this is such a valuable asset to our community, and I'm so proud to have him here. Nothing brings me to tears quicker than visiting their department down there with what they deal with on a daily basis. Is just amazing, and the asset to our community can't be replaced. Let's vote.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice? Aye. Vote passes 5 in favor.
Public hearing item 8C, receive public input and consider for approval ordinance 15-30, ratification of the Planning Commission approval of preliminary development plan establishing a density of 8.5 units per acre in the MFR zone and 16.7 units per acre in the HFR zone for the view at 5600 West, located at 5600 West, 8200 South. UNN Land Company applicant, David.
Yeah, staff has prepared a little PowerPoint for the sake of the discussion.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The view at 5600 is a multi-family development that's located in the borders of the Highlands Master Plan development, the 418 acres plan. And MFR means medium density multi-family zone in the WSPA portion of the code, and the HFR means high density multi-family zone. What I'd like to do, with your permission, is turn some time over to Dennis Hepworth and Gardner Crane, who are the applicants for this project, and let them present their project to you and answer any questions you may have. So.
Please.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Dennis Hepworth. I am a principal with Uinta Land Company. It's my pleasure to present this to you for your consideration. Regarding the location and zoning, I'm going the wrong way, sorry. The view is part of the Highlands Conceptual Site Plan, which has already been approved. It's right there in the southeast corner of the Highlands. As Larry mentioned, it has two different zones. The southern part is the MFR zone, which has a base density of 4.51 units to the acre and a maximum buy-up of 9 units to the acre. The northern portion is in the high-density zone called HFR, has a base density of 9.01 units to the acre with a maximum buy-up of up to 18 units to the acre. The surrounding properties includes the Mountain View Corridor to the west, the Regional Detention Pond to the south, the Charter School to the south, a single-family subdivision to the east, another multifamily project to the east, commercial development to the north. Smith's is already there. That's being developed as we speak, and then vacant ground to the north. So the highlights in regards to the location and zoning, again, it is part of the Highlands, which again has already been approved and is a planned development. It is subject to the West Side Planning Area Standards, which you'll see that we have met. It is definitely well buffered, as you can see the surrounding properties. It definitely has great access to traffic channels, and it is very close to a lot of commercial growth. The scope of the project, again, you can see in the southern end, in the MFR zone, we're asking for a buy-up to 8.5 units. In the north zone, the HFR, we're asking for a buy-up to 16.7 units to the acre. The project will be developed in 5 phases. The first phase is there on the south end, has 51 units in it. The second phase is to the north. Third phase is a little further west. Fourth phase, a little further west and to the north. And the fifth phase is all the way to the north. There's a picture of all of the phases once it's completed. So to highlight the scope of the project, there are the 2 zones that is divided by Clay Hollow Wash. It's worthy of noting that the project is not subject to the current existing cap and grade ordinance that the city has because it was part of the Highlands project, and the fact that we got our application in, that zoning is basically vested. Okay, as far as the buildings and structures, there's an elevation, a good example of the elevation on one of the buildings. You can see that there's varied materials, varied gaps in between the surfaces. It will consist of these different materials: stucco, hardy lap siding, hardy board and batten, brick veneer, and stone veneer. That will give it a great modern, diverse look. There's an elevation of the clubhouse. We have detached garages available, and there's a plan for those, an elevation for the garages. So summary on that, we have already received a positive recommendation from the Design Review Committee. It has a lot of architectural character and is consistent throughout the project. The parking is screened because of the location of the buildings, so that's not visible from the streets. And because of Clay Hollow Wash, there are no buildings that will be constructed within that floodplain, so there's no concerns there. As far as improvements and amenities go, according to the density that we're requesting, you can see right there that we need approximately 88 points or percentage points to get the buy-up in the MFR zone. In the HFR zone, we need 85%. As we move further, you'll see that we've presented way more than that. As far as trails and open space, what we're suggesting would provide 22% or 22 points. Here's a visual of some of those amenities. As you can see there in the MFR zone in the southern part is the clubhouse, the pool, and a lazy river, which is, as far as we know, is the first ever lazy river in an apartment complex in Utah. In the northwest corner, we have what we call a parkour course. We have fitness stations in the same area, so residents, and as you'll see further, that citizens can access this too, that they can walk through this trail system, stop and do little exercise things, and what they call art of movement projects that my partner will elaborate on more. There's a tree colonnade and courtyard, very, very beautifully landscaped and very attractive. So that's there's 15% that we're recommending towards the buy-up of improved trails and corridors. 15% for the dedication and creation of additional trails and corridors. Here's some examples of that. I've already mentioned that the Clay Hollow Wash segregates the 2 zones. We are proposing that we actually pipe that wash because of the detention pond, there really isn't any flow expected in that wash except in very severe events. So we have engineered a piping system where that will all be underground that has enabled us to create a turf recreational area on top of that. That gives us lots of space for recreation, and this particular area, because it's part of the regional trail system, is actually accessible to the general public. As far as street design, we're proposing a 10 and 8% buy-up for entry monuments and landscape buffer. Here's an example of actually two of our entry monuments. And you can see down there in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, along 5600 West, we have created a buffer zone because of the significant traffic on that corridor. So that buffer will have a mound and then trees and landscaping on it. We'll have a split rail fence on it so that it segregates the project from the traffic. Because of the detached garages that we have on site, we're proposing an additional 4% buy-up for that. And based on our building design, an additional 14, 12, and 12% there based on those criteria. So when you look at all that in total, it adds up to 112%, and you saw that what we really need is 88 and 85%, so we're well above that. So a summary on the amenities is, again, the first ever lazy river in the state of Utah. Parkour course is also the first ever in the state of Utah in an apartment complex. Pedestrian traffic channels, there's great access to the sidewalks, the system within the project. There's also great access to the general public in order to access the regional trail system and a couple of the amenities. It's a completely fenced, beautifully landscaped trail system, as I mentioned. Clay Hollow Wash, again, as I indicated and provided pictures on the screen, has great trail connectivity, and again, is accessible to the general public. And the trail system, the Clay Hollow Wash area, and that parkour course will be privately maintained and will not be the responsibility of the city. We'll end up entering into a development agreement with the city to make sure that that's taken care of. And then if we did not have enough density buy-up, we have additional discretionary buy-up that if we needed it, we could present it to you. But it's mathematically not necessary. And at this point in time, I'd like to open it up for questions after my partner, Gardner Crane, has an opportunity to express a few final notes.
Good evening. I'm Gardner Crane with UN Land Company. I don't have a lot to add other than just express to you our excitement and enthusiasm towards this project. This will be the cool, for lack of a better term, the coolest apartment project that we've ever built. We recognize that it's good size, but the neat thing about that is we're able to amortize some of these very otherwise normally cost-prohibitive amenities over enough units that we can afford to do some really neat things. The units will be luxurious with 9-foot ceilings, granite countertops, washers and dryers in the units. As you can see from the elevations, the architecture will be beautiful. We told our landscape architect that cost was not an issue. We wanted it to be the best-looking apartment project the state's ever seen. We're budgeting almost $1 million just for the clubhouse and the swimming pool area with the lazy river that Dennis referenced. We're really excited about the open space, that large park that will have parkour stations for for people my age and older, where you can just do normal things like sit-ups and pull-ups and push-ups at various stations. And then we'll also have what's called parkour obstacles. And if you're familiar with parkour, it's kind of a new sport that the millennials are into, where they do backflips and so forth over objects. And so we'll have stations where they'll be able to participate in that sport in that same open space. So our goal is to make this the hands down nicest and neatest apartment project that the state of Utah has ever seen. We recognize that we're out west a little ways. We're going to own this project. We have to draw good quality tenants out there that will pass our credit checks, that will pass our background checks, and so we know it's got to be super nice. So we've planned accordingly. We can't think of really any amenities that we could add to the project than that are already contained in it. And so we love West Jordan. We're committed to making you proud if you approve this project by performing on the construction and on the execution and the management of this project, so that in the future it's a poster child for West Jordan City as far as multifamily projects go. That being said, do you have any questions for us? And I'm going to keep Dennis up here for the hard ones.
Questions from council? Councilmember Haga.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm intrigued with the open space on it that you proposed. I heard twice, though, that only one area is open to the public and the others are privately run, the open space, or can you kind of just...
Yeah, expand on that one.
Yeah, actually, there are two sections of open space that are open to the general public. One is that strip of that we refer to as Clay Hollow Wash. That will be open to the public. That is actually parallels the regional trail system. So if you're a member of the general public walking on that trail system, you'll be able to just pop down into that turfed area and do whatever, throw frisbee, play ball. The other one, as the trail goes to the north, is the parkour course that we've referenced. So those two will be open to the general public. The rest of the open space will be private.
So just one more. So, because I frequent the trail up there, so the Mountain View Corridor Trail, you'll connect with that in your project?
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm familiar with the Mountain View Trail, but with the Mountain View Corridor running on the west side, our trail parallels the corridor and will run north and end up connecting to whatever trail system is further north that doesn't exist yet.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Thank you, Mayor. Or Mike's on the other side. Can you go to the slide that had the elevation? I like many of the ideas that were and the concepts that were put out for the use of the open space around the facility, but the elevation kind of stuck out to me as just it looks to me like almost every other apartment complex we see, just with some different materials on the building. Yeah, it looks very similar to quite a few other developments within the city. Has there been any thought given to other architectural features that could help differentiate it a little bit more, help it stand out, and really define that area?
I'll field that. This represents obviously a lot of time and work. We've been working through the city for almost three years now, believe it or not. Mr. Langford was here when we started, left, and came back in the meantime. I think he was disappointed to see that we're still here. We originally had pursued more of a modern look, modern architectural style with flat roofs, and then some time ago we met with most city council members and polled them as to the architectural style that they would prefer. And that's when we went, based on that feedback, that's when we went back to pitched roofs in this architectural style. But we're certainly open to input and suggestion. We've met with the design review committee. And so as far as colors and materials go, nothing's set in stone, but the building footprints, the floor plans and so forth are pretty firmed up at this point, just to be frank. But we haven't ordered paint yet. Does that, so there's still some room for flexibility, and we're glad to take into account feedback on that front. So I hope that helps.
A bit, thank you.
Councilmember Hagan.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed, really. Again, the architecture is really fantastic to me, so I don't know. Thank you. You know, I proposed this to other developers because it's a big need. You know, the county told us that, you know, soccer is a 30% growth sport in our community. And I'm wondering perhaps maybe if you rethink some of the open space into soccer field usage. So it's just a suggestion.
Okay.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Unrelated comment, Mayor. It appears that we're also having an issue with Councilmember Hagus' microphone. So if you might be able to share with him. I know I'm having a hard time hearing it. It sounds like our recorder is as well on the audio. Thank you.
Did you not hear me? I'm sorry.
I got it.
Oh, okay. So, you know, Salt Lake County, the mayor and I had a meeting with them about a year ago, and they talked about soccer and how soccer in Salt Lake County is on a 30% increase. And we find that true in our city, and you see in our big soccer complex. Sure. You know, as city council, we look for the future, and this is a long plan. Futuristic type development. I know you haven't bought the paint yet, but you know, you might, as far as I've suggested this to other developers, just as a suggestion, a recommendation, that maybe you look at some of the open space for the city to utilize as soccer type facilities, because it is we're going to end up losing some fields in the near future. Sure. So we need to make up that. So. Just a suggestion.
Yeah, we'd be happy to look at that. I think some of the open space along Clay Hollow Wash, and we'll have to check the dimensions that may be suitable for soccer fields. We're a soccer family, so you won't have to twist our arm. Our daughters have played in tournaments down here at your complex and thoroughly enjoyed it. I think we lost to a West Jordan team one night, though, but we've gotten over it.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your time and service.
We will now open the public hearing portion of item 8C. And we have one signed up. June Christiansen.
June Christiansen, and I reside out in this area west of where this is all going on. You have my address. I can tell you if you need it again. I have concerns about the density and the way that it's been whittled away since the master plan was put into place a few years back. It seems like over and over again the developers come back and say, let's put more and more and more. As we look at the area from Bangor Highway out to U111, and you look at, we have Peterson's apartments there, then this would go into, and we hop across the Mountain View, and UDOT's donation of lands to the Highlands. We've got mass density and height and apartments going in there. Up through the middle section, we have townhouses and more apartments that Peterson's putting in there. You go up across the, past us, going to the west side, and Serengeti, massive apartment complex. Hop over to the north side, right on U111, and you have the Maples with the 4 complexes that come out on one common driveway where the kids play, where those driveways meet. They have not much else to do, especially for the teenagers. As we look at this across, the more density that you increase obviously brings crime. It is inevitable. You have 4 fast exits, getaways, if you want to call them that. You have the Bangor Highway, 5600 West, Mountain View Corridor, and U111 that all have speeds that they travel of 60, 70 miles an hour. You set up, not so much right now where they're putting this in and it looks really good, but in the future, As you look at this kind of apartment complex, you cannot dictate what will happen. Masses of people together, it just simply changes things over time. I've taught in West Valley City for over 30 years. Over there, I've watched the changes that have come into place, and at one time, the detectives that are in our schools, they took us on a bus tour. Tanglewood Apartments is the name of what at first was made. That's not very far from the school that I was at. When it went in, very nice apartment complex. When we took a tour through there, they took us in the daylight, and they said, do not come in here at night. You would not be safe. And he said, what you see now on the column pace of all these number of apartments is not what you see when you come in here at night. They took us down toward Redwoods Road, another nice complex when it was put in. And they said, this is where we go over to find stolen cars. And talked about the gang associations and the crime that was there. Are we looking at the future and setting up this area through here in the same manner? We don't have enough open space. It seems to me that I was at a council meeting here not too far back where it was said that the Highlands did not have their promised open space, that the density had been filled in, and they didn't have it. Here we have another one going in. Yes, it looks nice. It has some great amenities. But can we not do that without putting the number of units that are in there and still come up with some more usable space for the common public in this area? I am really, really concerned with the density. It's just tighter and tighter and tighter to where it could become difficult to breathe. We should probably rethink this. Should we chop up another area? I looked at density statistics, and honestly, West Jordan right now is rivaling the top spot for density in the cities. Can't quote the statistics, but thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Please.
Do you mind if I just respond to some of the typical concerns that we hear towards projects like this? We will house in this project on under 30 acres, potentially 531 families. Now, if you tried to had to house that many people, which we do, our population is growing, we need to grow responsibly. If you were to attempt to house that many people, every one of them in a single family home, it would require up to 200 acres to house the same number of people. Much more electricity would be used per family, much more water would be used per family. So from an environmental standpoint, this is smart growth. Furthermore, the economic benefit to the city from a project like this is huge. It will draw commercial into that area. It's our understanding that part of the reason Smiths went into the area is because they knew projects like this were slated for the area. So we recognize the concerns, but we feel this will be a great benefit to the city. One thing we've found in other cities when we've come in with a new high-end project, some of the older projects begin to lose tenants that want to move to a nicer, newer place. And then what do? They start to spend money on their own projects to be competitive with nicer, newer projects. In one of the projects we built up in Davis County, within just a few months of us completing one project, the three older competitive projects spent over $5 million between the three of them to upgrade their own projects to remain competitive. And so we recognize that West Jordan has a lot of multifamily, but we feel that this project is going to not only improve the city all by itself, but it will force other projects in the city those owners will have to invest capital and make their properties nice to stay competitive. So we think it will be a benefit to the city, not just here, but all over the city.
Alexandra Ephraimov, 3735 Judge Circle. Here I go again. Several years ago, we had in January where the focus of West Jordan was going to go. And as I remember, no more high density. And here we are again. 531 families. I didn't see anywhere on there where there was going to be parking for families that are going to come to visit. Maybe I slipped over it. I lived in a unit where it was detached garages. I hated it. It's abominable. It is one of the most terrible situations to have detached garages. When you have a chance to attach a garage, I don't understand why we can't have attached garages. But detached garages, I hate it. I hated it. I lived there 8 years, and I hated it. But anyway, again, the 16.7 units per acre, I'm against that. We went ahead, Gardner Village, we went back and forth. Yeah, we slide-it. It's like a yo-yo, you're for it and then you're against it. You're here, you're there. Can't we, as politicians, when you say something, hang in there? Why are we going high density? High density is good financially for the developer. There's no doubt about it. No doubt. We live in an earthquake area. We know there are faults all around us. And I'm against the high density. I still didn't hear a total amount of acreage on here. We're talking about 551 families, and eventually I'm sure there's going to be more schools coming out there. But I don't know what the total amount of acreage is. But I'm 1,000,000% against the 16.7 acres of the high density. We talked about it. We said we were going to be a city that was not going to be known as the high density city. And here we are, different developers come in. I still don't see, maybe I missed it completely, where the firemen would come. I mean, the roads going through that complex. We have to have fire trucks that come in there. We have to have the police come in there. But I didn't see any large roads or anything, yet we have this common space. Anyway, I'm against the high density. I'm against the detached garages. I hate the looks of them. I don't like the looks of them, and I think they are really, really tough. I just think an attached garage, everybody's got an attached garage. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. We have one just ahead of you, and you. Thanks.
My name is Lisa Larson. I live at 5210 West, 7800 South, and I am one of the last 5-acre parcels out there. I've lived here for over 25 years, almost 30, I guess. I agree, we're not sticking with the master plan, and I have a problem with that. The way they get in, the developers, is they come in and they say, we're going to have a bridle path. It'll be the first bridle path in West Jordan. We let them in, we approve them, we go opposite of what we say we're going to do and stick to. And so if there's going to be a lazy river out there, I want to be the first to take a dip. With that being said, I think that we should stay consistent with sticking with the single-family homes, no multi-level business going on, and continue the growth of West Jordan and not have it come from north to south like I feel like it's going to. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Don Moss, resident at 8108 South Ponds Lodge Drive. I have the high density concerns. They're obvious. The concerns on city services demands. I recognize the work that's gone into this project and where we're at this point. One of the concerns I'd like to mention is something that was expressed in the zoning commission. Part of that concern is that we're putting a high density apartment in that first phase. The way that they're working out the units is based on that high density apartment with other amenities. However, I am a resident on that 5600 West side, where that high density apartment is going to be close to. I hear that there's going to be a buffer, which I would appreciate and would encourage city support to help with that buffer, but they are putting that in on 5600 West. It hasn't even been completed where that apartment's being contemplated. At this point, I'm not sure what options are available to the City Council other than the overall concern of high density. However, I do believe there are opportunities that could be looked at. There was discussed buffer zones, and it appears that the buffer zones that are being created are those that are are next to Mountain View Corridor, where it doesn't make sense that that is what would need to have a buffer zone for a high-density project. The high-density project is right close to those single-family homes, and if you were one of those single-family homes having a 3-story high-density apartment looking down on you in a zone that is already zoned for MFR, you can appreciate my concern, and I hope that it's something that you can consider with whatever options that are available to you as a city council and as a mayor. I appreciate the opportunity for input. There was an individual that left. He left comments, concerns regarding safety for school and crime. He's involved in Neighborhood Watch. Would it be appropriate for me to just leave those concerns with you, or would you like me to read them into the record?
You could give them to the clerk if you'd like.
Okay. Thank you for your time.
Thank
and
you.
consideration.
Please, come forward.
Eric Hanna, 8052 Ponds Lodge Drive. Can I manipulate the slideshow to show that? I was thinking that master, the general plan, when it showed all the phases. That's okay. Yeah, is the council familiar with this area at all?
What was that?
Is the council familiar with this area?
Yes.
So, to the right of that slide is 5600 West. To the top side of that slide is Smith's, the vacant area. We have Smith's already established. We have single-family homes and other developments. Just to the north of this, we have Boulder Canyon Apartments. Just to it'd be east of 5600, right in that void. We have more homes slated for the south of this development. You're all familiar with the ongoings out here. It's a lot of development. My concern mainly is with 5600 West. That buffer zone doesn't exist. And if we consider a 4-lane road a buffer zone, I think we're off base a little bit with our planning and zoning. That's going to be single-family homes, a 4-lane road, and then a 50-foot building. I don't think that fits our plan at all. I would like the council to consider our current land use map, if we could keep it MFR, and if we can consider the original phase 1 of this development, if we go back, put that in consideration. They didn't have those 50-foot buildings there. Phase 1 considered that. And they say this is approved. I'm not sure how it's approved if we're rezoning the MFR. Traffic is an issue. The Planning and Zoning Committee approved this development with a traffic report that was done in 2013. A lot has changed. A lot is going to change. This is a public safety issue. There is no buffer zone. I live at 5600 West. Boulder Canyon is to my north. It's probably 4 times further away than this proposed development is. Probably 4 or 5 times further away. I can see clearly into the 2nd and 3rd story of that development. And it's uncomfortable to be in my own backyard. They're proposing a 50-foot building in my backyard. It is not okay. If I were to demo my house, could I build this development in my neighborhood? It would not be okay. Another document that was ratified in March, on March 12, 2014, by the City Council. It's called City Goals 2014-2015. It's prioritized. Let me just say this. The land use piece of these goals say higher value and less density is priority. So please reconsider this. And considering we're down 2 members, please at least table this and let's investigate. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Steve.
Mayor, Council, Steve Jones again. I think you've pretty much gotten an earful. I'd like to handle this from just a little different perspective, though. I'm definitely not a proponent of high density. I'm getting tired of seeing our city become basically turning into a West Valley. The part that I'm going to attack this from is on the building design. Now, there was 2 columns here, and one was done by the developer and the other was done by the city staff. I went through and reviewed that today. And I got to admit, I just, maybe it's just my ignorance, but I kind of look at these things as being reasons why they should be able to get an upgrade from the base level. But there's not enough explanation of exactly what they did to warrant some of these. Some of these were basically just wholesale from one extreme to the other, and I disagree with that. One of them was enhanced door, window, and roofing. That's all you gave me, nothing else. How are you making it better than the base design or the base criteria? So when I went through and looked at some of these, the last 4, which gave the contractor 28%. When I got done with the last 3 on the building design, I took away 24% because I couldn't see any justification for it. So the percentage that I come down to was 74%. So in redoing the calculation, in all fairness, I think it should be not weighted any more than 7.8 units for the one side and 15.7 units for the other. There's a couple other things in there where I don't understand this thing with the monument. I fail to see what that does for a development. To me, most of them end up becoming eyesores. I don't look at that as being a positive. That looks to me more like something that somebody's put a feather in their own cap type thing. So I could even go into the other section where it had to do with monuments and pretty much take that out as well. It really has no value to the city of West Jordan. It has no value to, I believe, the people that live there. The other main concern I have is traffic. Our east-west will not handle these continued high densities out west. All of those individuals end up going to I-15, and we do not have the infrastructure in place currently right now to handle these large number of developments and families. And to me, I think just scrap it and tell them to put something else in there. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. Item 8C, return to the council for comments and or. Councilmember Rice.
Thank you, Mayor. The issue I get the most complaints on is actually an intersection. The intersection of 5600 West and 8200 South is the thing I get the most complaints on. That's basically just south of this. The intersection's a mess because of the huge amount of traffic going through, just a stop sign. Another concern I have is piping washes. That's a concern for me. Should we have a big water event? That's a big concern. And I also echo Eric Hanna's comment on buffering directly across the street from those very tall buildings are low density houses. So I will be voting no on this one. Thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple different things to keep in mind when we're looking at this one. Number one, a number of folks made the comment that, well, we said we're going to try to reduce the amount of high-density housing, and we need to stick to that. However, that's not something you can cut things off mid-project. So there's still some projects that are kind of in the transitional phase, this being one of them. So it's not subject to all of today's requirements, but rather it's subject to the old West Side planning area requirements. So it's a little bit different in that respect. The other thing is we're not addressing the zoning per se, rather just setting the density. The zoning's already there. They're not asking for any changes to it, just requiring that we set the density. That being said, I completely understand the concerns that were shared about high density, and more in particular the specifics of this development. And thank you to those of you who spoke and named out specific elements that you had an issue with. It really makes it a whole lot easier, both for us as a council to find a reason to support a vote one way or the other. And it also helps the developer hear some of the concerns. When it's specific and when it's pointed, saying we don't like this, we don't like that, it's a whole lot easier than just, it's a whole lot easier than without the specifics. That said, as we're looking at some of the findings from the staff report, there's a couple items that I disagree with. So this is on page 34 of the electronic copy. Number 2, again, this was brought up by Mr. Hanna and Mr. Moss. The proposed site development plan building heights, locations, access points, parking will not negatively impact adjacent properties or the surrounding neighborhood. I also kind of question the buffering, putting the buffering against the highway. I see why you would do that for the residents to have that buffering against the highway, but it doesn't seem to make the transition between the high density and then the single family housing that we would hope. The other one that I brought up earlier is number 6, which says the architectural character of the proposed development is in harmony with and compatible to those structures in the neighboring environment and the architectural character desired for the city, avoiding excessive variety or monotonous repetition. To me, that seems really similar to what we already have, and it looks just like some of the other buildings, apartment complexes that are out there, and it seems to be hitting that monotonous repetition. I don't know that I'll be voting against it per se. I would almost prefer that we table this to give the developer a chance to come back with something else. If we vote no, then there's that time that's got to elapse before they can come back. I think they're going the right direction, but I'd like to see them have a little bit of an opportunity to make some adjustments to the plan. So I guess I would be in opposition. If a motion were made to pass this, I would be in opposition to that. I could, however, support a motion to table to a date uncertain. Or I'm not sure if we could maybe let postpone, whatever the terminology is. I reported can correct me. But anyway, those are my thoughts.
Councilmember Haga.
Thanks, Mayor. When I moved to West Jordan, where I live now, I looked at the general plan and, it was all low density. And I live off 90th South and Rounded Road, and it changed probably, in fact, it changed last council meeting, zoning. And it's always frustrated me to see us going away from our plans. And I think this is just going too far with high density towards 5600 West. I think it makes sense to buffer a major freeway with high density. So that would be my thoughts. And again, if this is a slated thing in our system, I think maybe some more thought. I might entertain a table of the item, but I'd probably be opposed to high density or the zone change.
Mayor, do you mind if I interject? We've appreciated...
Not right now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We're in deliberation. You'll have to stay seated.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but you have no comment at this point.
Okay.
Thank you. I have a comment that for the first time in the history of West Jordan, we have a cap and grade system. This project does not fall under that because it was grandfathered prior to the cap and grade. This council put that in place, and we will adhere to that until a future council decides to change that. But this does not fall under that, although And the zoning is not an issue. It's already zoned for multifamily. We can't change that either. The owners have the property. They can design it. Again, the only issue is the development of the project, and it would be my opinion that the way this transitions from single-family residence is not a good fit at this time. So I'd support tabling the item 2 and allowing the council to come back, allowing the developer to come back to the council with some changes. Councilmember Hanson.
Thank you, Mayor. I agree with you as this was invested prior to our cap and grade, but we are looking at a buyout for higher density, and I would prefer, as has been mentioned both by you and by Councilman McConaughey, that we put this aside and give the developer the chance to maybe look at it in a different way. The buffering on 5600 West is a road does not buffer these large apartments. And so I would ask that we do table this, and that gives them the opportunity. They don't have to wait that year if we vote no. So thank you.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Mayor, and our reporter can correct me if I don't word this appropriately, but I would move that we table ordinance 15-30 to a date uncertain.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember McConaughey and a second by Councilmember Haga. Discussion to the motion.
Is there any specific direction you want these developers to go other than just come back with something different? Do you want it to go back to the Planning Commission? How do you want this to be addressed? So.
Should we add that after the vote?
Yeah, we'll give.
And that's the last line.
We'll give you direction after we have a vote. Let's vote.
Mayor Rawl?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Vote passes 5 in favor.
Councilmember McConaughey.
Thank you, Mayor. So in response to the question from staff, my personal hope would be to see something done with the buildings to place them a little bit so there's more of a transitional effect. Similar to the approach that happened over by Gardner Village, where they were moved back a little bit further and maybe staggering the heights of some of them.
So you want to see an actual linear spacing of the buildings more back off the road rather than...
Something along those lines would be preferable. And then again, number 6, obviously this isn't the most critical issue, but I'd like to see it not look like a cookie cutter apartment building with just different things put on the outside of it, different materials on the outside. I'd like to see something architecturally different to make it unique. There's so many things in that other area, right in that area, that are so very, very similar. And where number 6 talks about avoiding excessive monotonous repetition.
Okay, and I'm not trying to be annoying, or I'm just trying to be as clear as mud because we want to try to work with the applicant. So you want to see a different design of all the architecture on all buildings, or a different mix in the project itself? This is 35 acres and some 13 buildings. And
so I'm going to stick my neck out, see if it gets chopped off. My primary concern, again, is the transition between the neighborhoods.
Okay.
Lesser than that is the architectural presentation of the building. And again, this is something, everybody has a different taste, so I really don't weight that heavily when looking at this. But personally, I would like to see something that's just a little bit different architecturally, whether it's like maybe flat roofs in some spots, or mix up the roof line a little bit. Again, the Gardner Village example, where they kind of played with the height. Within one building, you had something 3-story, but over here it was 2, and that was turned into like a roof deck. They had places where the building came out a little bit. There was a facade that kind of stuck out a little bit to give it some variety to the depth. Nothing huge. Again, this is just my own personal preference to see a little bit of difference, a little bit of variety, but it is supported by criteria number 6 here. And again, that one's not as significant or important to me as making sure that we have the spacing right, or the transition right between this and the neighboring properties.
Okay, so architecturally, material-wise, are you okay with that, or would you like to see a change of materials?
No, I was fine with the materials, but it looked like some of the apartment complexes that we have where they've got buildings that were built in the late 1980s, and they've recently gone back and just refaced them. It looks exactly the same as those.
Okay.
To me. Again, to cover myself, that's just my personal interpretation, and that, yeah, I'll stop.
Councilmember Hagan.
But, you know, I'm going to trust our staff as far as I think it adheres to some of our standards of building, and aesthetics are all, you know, subjective. But, you know, I think if I was to say, give us direction, you know, I've seen some of the developers in the 2 years I've been on the council that have contacted us as council. I don't know who said it, but somebody said that we had been kind of educated on this plan, and I have not. So I would suggest maybe, because I've learned from our staff that when we got our developers and we start communicating, then we can solve some of the issues. So I would be willing to sit down with the developers and see a little more detail. And I'd like to see more of our residents involved. We had some stand up and see what they want against 5600 West. I think it's 5600 West, the buffering area that we're concerned about. Thanks, Mayor.
Yes, Larry, for me, it's the BIAP, the criteria. I think we need to, other than what's been described already, I believe that I don't like the density BIAP in this particular plan. So I believe that we have to justify that better, in my opinion. I don't think that we have to have developers always reach for the highest maximum density per acre, and think that a few amenities make that happen. So that's what I'm looking for. Is that good enough?
Yeah. Thank you.
Public hearing item D is, need a motion to continue this until October 28th.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by Councilmember Hanson and a second by Councilmember McConaughey. Discussion of the motion. Seeing none, Ms. Holt.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Rice?
Aye.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Mayor Rowe?
Yes.
Vote passes 5 in favor.
Mayor, I move that we take a 5-minute recess.
I'll second that. A motion by Councilmember Hagan and a second by Mayor Wall. Discussion of the motion. Seeing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? 5 minutes only, please.
So frustrating is the day is gone.
Have you met our new city manager? Looks good.
Yeah, I'm sorry, we barely have a quorum now. Councilmember Rice wasn't feeling well and had to leave, so we had to wait till Councilmember Haga returned. So, yeah, that does mean that everything we do Business item 9A, discussion and possible action regarding a report on the rain barrel program from the Utah Rivers Council. Wendell Rigby.
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. This is an item that we presented some information to you, and you asked that we bring it back to you as a council item. I think that the staff report does an excellent job of describing everything. However, just to give you a little bit of background and some things to think about. In April of this year, the Utah Rivers Council began a program with where the Utah Rivers Council purchased rain barrels at a discounted price and then offered them to Utah residents at a reduced price of $75 each. Agencies currently participating in this program are Murray, Salt Lake County, Sandy, Park City, Ogden, and Summit County. They participated with a subsidy of $40 per barrel. As it regards financial impacts, with participation of the Utah Rivers Council, the city would pay $35 per barrel. And the city can set a cap or a limit on the number of barrels if you wish to subsidize. However, currently the city does not have funds budgeted for such a program, and a budget adjustment would be required. So the items that we're looking for input from the council on this evening are, first of all, do you want to participate in the program? And if so, how many barrels do you wish to subsidize? And then if you do desire to participate in the program, do you want the staff to find places to fund this from, or there are possibly general fund sources, stormwater funds, council contingencies, or other that you might identify? So I'd be glad to answer any questions you have. We also have Nick Scow from the Utah Rivers Council here this evening if you want to ask him any questions about his program.
Questions from council? Councilmember Haga. Please.
I don't know who's going to answer the question. I was chatting with some staff about this today, and so I have, So the law, first of all, water rights. What's the? I thought at one time this was against the law to collect water.
Yes, my name's Nick Scow. I'm the Conservation Director with Utah Rivers Council. Councilmember Haga, you are correct. It was illegal in Utah until 2010 when the Utah State Legislature sought to legalize rainwater collecting up to a certain amount per parcel. And that is 2,500 gallons at any given time per parcel. There's also a requirement, and which we instruct everyone who participates in our program to register with the Division of Water Rights if you have more than 2 rain barrels over 100 gallons capacity. And they have a catalog of residents, and that's to keep an eye on this so that you wouldn't inflict on others' water rights is the idea.
And the other question, maybe this stat, I have actually 2 others. One's a legal question, and that is, if we subsidize, if there's a majority of the council that decides to subsidize, and for example, I've actually seen some of these barrels out in people's homes in other parts of Utah, and one was to fall and crash, flood, or hurt somebody. Are we liable in any way, legally?
The subsidy and the provision of the funding should not create any liability for the placement or if it's a defective item. That the city can always require a release as a condition of the subsidy to put that in writing, and then they would know that they had an understanding, and the person who is receiving the item would also have an understanding.
Then the last, maybe staff or is how are we going to have code like we have for building things in the home and that and outside as far as how these barrels are suspended, or I don't know, to me it's like the old-fashioned spout going down in one of the wood barrels. so when you say barrel, but, you know, is there some kind of code, a standard that is used?
There is, we have very clear instructions for everyone, the safest possible way to set up their rain barrels. I've also, when we launched the program in April, I spoke to several mosquito abatement districts and other entities, Division of Water Rights included, to see what their concerns were. The barrel that we chose for this program is one of the most popular with municipalities doing rain barrel programs across the U.S. because it addresses a lot of these concerns. There's a screen on top, prevents mosquitoes from getting in. There is a locking lid, which makes it child safe so that children can't get in. And we really provide a lot of instruction, education about the benefits of water conservation. And it's really been tremendous how popular this program has become. We really only expected to get around 250 barrels out there in April. And we ended up distributing 2,300 rain barrels in 6 municipalities just this summer. The public really took to this, and it's been really exciting to see how many people are eager to be stewards of an important resource like water and to make a difference in their own backyard with something like rain barrels. I do want to mention also that it helps cities improve water quality problems and addresses 2 of the 6 MS4 requirements for the Clean Water Act, which are education and outreach. So some of our municipal partners have been interested in the community outreach, others in water quantity, and others in water quality. And it's really been a win-win for all our municipal partners. We've really had some great partnerships that we've begun, and we would be thrilled to be able to expand the program to the west side of the valley.
Other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Otani.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm a little bit torn on this one. I'd like to be able to do something to help folks conserve water. I think it's a good idea. At the same time, $35 a pop from our general fund to help subsidize that is a little bit pricey. I mean, if we go with that 500 unit cap that they're suggesting, that's just over 17 grand, which is a good chunk of change. There was an email sent out end of August to us from Public Works talking about some of the pros and cons. In here, the argument for rain barrels is that it leads to lower use of culinary water for irrigation. It reduces runoff into the public storm drain system and the potential for pollutants draining into streams and rivers. The argument against the rain barrels is that rain mostly falls in the spring and the fall, so it won't do much good to serve the summer irrigation needs, and those rain barrels can become another maintenance item that the property owner may or may not take care of. Thinking about it in that context, I thought at my house it would be great to be able to set up the rain barrel, be able to run a hose out to the garden, help out that way. Gravity doesn't allow that. It's going to take quite a bit of work. I don't know that I'll actually do that. And when the water is needed, barrels will likely be empty because it's going to be middle of the summer and we haven't had rain for quite a while. I'd rather wait and see some statistics as to how much use people are getting out of them, find out from other cities. I know a lot of folks want them, and they can still buy them. I believe it's $75 to purchase them through the Utah River Councils or something like that. So I believe anybody can purchase through the Utah River Councils at $75 a piece, regardless of what.
We did have a limited quantity available at the $75. To be clear, the barrels retail for $130 a piece.
Gotcha. Thank you for the clarification. At this point in time, I think it's a little bit early. Then also noting where we're at in our budget year, I think this is something that would be good to kick back to our sustainability committee, have them look at, and have them bring us a proposal and say, is this something that should be included with next year's budget, and then included at that time. If we have one-time savings during this year's budget, this would definitely be an ideal candidate. But right now, where we've just started we're almost halfway through our budget year, I'm uncomfortable going back and making an adjustment for this when we don't have any historical information. Does this really help out, or is it just kind of something that makes people feel good, but in the end just ends up costing money, but doesn't really solve any problem.
I would agree with most of your statement, with the exception of, I don't think that tax dollars should be spent on these. I believe that this is a good program, and for those that want them, I think it's certainly well worth, trying it out. We'll have to see where the jury lies after a few years of this, but I certainly wouldn't stand in anybody's way, but I don't think that we should be subsidizing these barrels, so. I think that it's clear that we're not going to get a 4-0 vote on this, so does anybody have any problem with tabling this? It's on. You can't hear me? I'm sorry. Usually mine's way loud, so. Did you all hear that?
Yes.
Can we table this?
Yeah, so I move that we table this to a time, be decided later.
I'll second. We have a motion by Councilmember Haga and a second by Mayor Rolfe. Discussion. Seeing none. Let's vote.
Councilmember Hanson,
Yes.
Mayor Rolfe,
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey,
Aye.
Councilmember Haga.
Yes.
The vote passes 4 in favor.
Thank you. I need to apologize. We had 3 different agendas, and I got off track. So we're going now back to item 9A. I skipped over it. Now we're back to item 9A, business item 9A. Discussion and possible direction to prepare a code amendment to section 13-8-23, annual cap on multifamily development applications. JF Capital, Colin Wright, would like to discuss the current cap and grade ordinance as it pertains to their potential 200-acre master plan development on property owned by Craig Jensen. David.
Yes, Scott Langford will make the introductions on this item. Thank you.
Mayor, Council, quick clarification regarding this business item. Colin Wright, who represents JF Capital Land, is here tonight merely to give you an update on the Jensen development. Some of you attended the design charrette last month, and so that he wanted an opportunity to get you up to speed, not necessarily to talk about the cap and grade specifically, but more in particular to the project on the Jensen property. So I'll turn the time over to him.
Thank you.
Thank you. Colin Wright with JF Land Company. I appreciate taking time, and I'll be brief. And I appreciate the clarification. I think I saw the agenda the first time a day or two ago, and that clearly was not my intent in working with staff was to come here and request that you get rid of the cap and grade amendment. That from day one, I've made it clear that this project is much more than that, and it's a neighborhood and a community. And as you know, we've been working with you to get your input and make that community great. Let me just give you a quick update of where we're at. So, and I'm not sure, we're Henry Walker Homes, Jack Fisher Homes, JF Land Company, all of the above. I'm not sure if any of those names ring true to you. We pride ourselves on being a great master plan developer. An example of that is a Brio project in southern Utah. I'm just going to talk about it really quick. It's in Washington. We just had our grand opening about a week ago. I'm going to try to point the laser here without, I won't worry about it. We are 80% done on a community center, which you can see on this slide. It's a 14,000 square foot community center, indoor, outdoor, pool, hot tub, 8 pickleball courts, 2 tennis courts, 671 units. I'm okay. Oh, I found it. It's a green dot. My point is that we're all about building neighborhoods that add value. I came from a background where building a pool, building a neighborhood, it adds value to the homes, and that's what we do. We want to build neighborhoods and communities where people want to live. Our goal for the Jensen property, this 200 acres, is that everybody in West Jordan wants to live there. And they may buy a house somewhere else, but in the end, they want to live in this community, whatever we end up calling it. So we're community builders. Just to get you familiar with, this is the property, 7800 South, Mountain View Corridor, 7000 South here, elementary school, Smith's is right there. What we did is we had, this is your current general plan, low density residential, medium density residential, high density residential, and then community commercial. So that's what the 200 acres consists of currently in your general plan. To accelerate the process, I think Councilmember Haga mentioned what a big difference it makes when we communicate with developers. And so in an effort to do that, we hired a group called UDA out of Pittsburgh, Urban Design Associates. They've been heavily involved with Daybreak, have brought a lot of the great ideas to Daybreak, and we said we want something different in West Jordan, and we didn't think we could find it from consultants in Utah. We flew them out. We met next door for 4 days. My guess is that we had about 50 staff members attend during those 2 days. Many of the people that are here today were able to attend, and we listened. What do you like? What do you want? What do you don't like? What does the property mean? We had the landowners there, and we had this design workshop. And then we showed back up. We started the week on Monday, and we came back on Thursday, and we showed a plan that I'll talk you through in a minute. And I'll kind of skip this in an effort to be quick. This is the concept plan that they came with. After listening to everyone, walking on the site, looking at the natural resources, looking at the views, looking at the topography, this is what we came up with. This is commercial, 7800 South. There are 4 splotches of orange, and those are proposed townhome pads. A typical developer would have taken this and would have done something very similar to your general plan. I'm going to do my commercial, I'm going to do my apartments, I'm going to do my townhomes, and I'm going to do my single family. UDA did much more than that, and this is what creates Daybreak, this is what creates neighborhoods, this is what creates places where people want to live. And this is there are 10 acres here of multifamily on the north end. And going back to the conversation you just had, you wanted people to take into perspective the surroundings. And UDA did that. I didn't tell them to do this, but they went out and they looked at 7000 South and they said, there are condos here, 3-story condos that are not in your city. And they said, that's a pretty good place to put it. Not down here at the entry to the neighborhood and next to the beautiful Smiths. They said, if you're going to do it, let's put it up here. The neighboring use is similar. And I thought it was really creative. I thought it was really thoughtful, and I think it makes for a good neighborhood. I'm going to show you 3 quick pictures. They brought with them from Pittsburgh an award-winning renderist, and he's rendered 3 views here from the project and what his vision is. So let me just walk you through those quickly. This is a street looking up. You can see there's some topography to make up, and so there's this rock wall. But you can really see here the traditional neighborhood, the trails, the streets, and the street trees. The architecture is a big part of what we're proposing. We're proposing Daybreak-type architecture. This is another look. This is some townhomes. One of the builders that we've talked about building here, you can see there's the small orange townhome pad, is Destination Homes. And this is some homes they built right there on 78th in the 3-story with the big front porches. And so that's kind of the townhome architecture that we would consider at this location. You can see at the end of the street, there's a building here, which would be our community clubhouse. And it's shown here on the plan. So you're looking down the street at this community plan with a pool that sits below it. And we really tried to take advantage of this wash. Again, another developer or another architecture firm might have said, let's put up some chain link fence and let the water run down the wash, and that's not what they did. So let me talk to you a little bit more about the wash. This is the 3rd and final view. This is looking up the wash almost from about 7800 South. You can see here community amphitheater, some community gardens. This is the community center, and this is the community pool. A real strong emphasis on trails and walkability and safe walk to schools, all those kinds of things that make for a great neighborhood, that make other neighborhoods great. I apologize that if I keep using the Daybreak name, but to give you context for what we're planning, I think that's the best name to use. again, architecture is a big part of this. This is what we propose for the single-family lots, traditional neighborhood architecture. There won't be much stucco in this neighborhood. There will be a lot of traditional neighborhood architecture, which we feel adds a ton of value. It costs more to build this. This home, if you're going to build this in stucco, typical West Jordan fashion, it's probably $15,000 less than this. But we know that good design is good business, and good design will make this a great neighborhood. And so we plan on traditional neighborhood architecture throughout the community. These are what the smaller lots might look like. This is what the townhouses might look like. I talked about one example. This is another of the mansion homes that are in Daybreak. And again, we have four locations throughout the community where townhomes would be built. This is some concepts that he's shown for the commercial, again, trying to make it blend in with the neighborhood. This is a Starbucks with kind of a unique design. So again, I think this current plan only has maybe 15 acres of commercial. I'm not sure off the top of my head. And I think we're hoping for some flex space. Maybe that goes to 20. It's not going to be a big commercial center, but when we do build commercial, we want it to tie in with the neighborhood. I read through your general plan this afternoon, and I copied and pasted some random things here, but everything in red, safety, accessibility, walkability, well-designed, well-maintained neighborhoods, attractive residential areas, schools, parks, community centers, aesthetically pleasing architecture and urban design. I'm not sure. That's what we've tried to do. And we didn't do it. We didn't read your general plan and say, hey, let's try to make these guys happy. I think we hired a great land planner architect, and he understands these principles, and he understands how to bring them into a neighborhood. What makes us unique? 200-acre master plan amenities. We're not cookie-cutter architecture. HOA maintained open space, which has been requested by your Parks Department. Creative planning. We focused on the safe route to school. We've met with West Jordan School District. There's an existing elementary school. They have some acreage. They'd like to participate in our development. They love it. They love that we can safe walk to school with the kids, and then they plan on building the middle school in the next 5 years, and they own the property for that adjacent to ours. It's a community for all generations. We will have age-restricted mixed in throughout here, neighborhoods, and then it's a place to live, work, and play. Again, I don't think I'm not here to talk about the cap and grade. I don't plan on asking for an amendment to the cap and grade. I would love some direction on process and input on our plan. We're excited. We love this property. We're passionate about it, and I think we've approached it the best way we know how, which is to get your input, and now we're trying to move forward.
Well, I was at the presentation the afternoon after you'd done, and I applaud you for really forward thinking on this project. I was really impressed with everything that I saw, and I love the concept. I wish it was all developers did it like this. So I can't wait for you to get started.
Thank you.
Councilmember Haga.
I too echo what the mayor said. You invited us to a open house. I came. You had our staff in there, which I appreciate. Get them involved, and I asked you a few questions, and because I came late, but I'm very, very impressed. My kids live in Daybreak, so I understand a millennial generation that wants this kind of living. So, and it works. I can see my grandkids on bikes up there. So, thanks.
Guess there's no other questions for you, Colin.
Great.
Move forward, get it coming, and I think we'd like to be, our staff will work closely with you on the stuff as you start to develop the multifamily. I believe the commercial could be relatively quick, that first part of the commercial and that first set of the things. So
great.
Whatever our staff can do, I'm sure they will help you through.
They've been extremely responsive and very helpful.
We appreciate the quality.
Thanks.
Thank you. Item 9C, discussion and possible direction to prepare a request for proposal for a solar energy consultant. Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor. Steve Lane will be making this presentation this evening. He's the representative from the city to the Sustainability Committee.
Thank you, Wendell, Mayor and Council. I don't have a big presentation, but maybe I can just summarize what this item is about. The Sustainability Committee has looked into the possibility of building a solar energy project, but our scope is pretty broad. We are willing to consider any type of project that might work for the city, right? So we have spoken to representatives from the Kearns Olympic Oval. In fact, they gave a presentation to you folks a few months ago. We've also taken a tour of a solar project at the Rio Tinto Stadium. The original idea that we were discussing in the sustainability was to build a parking canopy solar project where you put the solar panels on top of the parking canopy. It's sort of a trend these days. So that's one option, right? But the question before you tonight is whether or not to send out an RFP to find a consultant to help us determine if this is even worth looking into. There are so many options these days for funding. There's buying a system outright, installing the panels ourselves, and there's leasing options. There's power purchase agreements where we pay zero up front and a third party owns and maintains the solar panels, and we buy power from them over the long term. There's lots of options. The payback has a lot to do with incentives and rebates that are available from federal, state, and from Rocky Mountain Power, and those incentives are constantly changing. So the Sustainability Committee has recommended that if we want to pursue this further, it would be extremely helpful to have a consultant that specializes in this field. So that's the question.
Does anyone have any issue with going ahead with an RFP? Yes, Councilmember McCarthy.
Thanks, Mayor. No, I don't really have an issue with it. I just want to add that I very much appreciate the work that Steve's done with the Sustainability Committee and the work that those folks have done and showing initiative and trying to find different ways to make us more sustainable, whether it's finances or environmental impact, things like that. Even if we don't go with something like a solar canopy for a parking lot, there's so many projects that we're either involved in or we know we could be involved with that I would like to get an idea of what we might want to consider. As we're looking at some buildings, for example, perhaps there were some things that we could have done with a new fire station, police substation to incorporate those concepts. If we do a new fleet facility, there's so many different projects that are out there. I don't think it could hurt to ask somebody to give us ideas to say, hey, where can we leverage other projects to bring additional sustainability to it, perhaps by going through solar. I would hope that we could keep the price lower than that 10 grand, but in the end, I'm pretty sure it will pay for itself over time. But no objection. I just want to make sure that we cast a broad net and make it very clear that we're looking for any ideas and recommendations that we can incorporate into other projects that we know will be coming up anyway. Thank you, Mayor.
So no one's opposed to moving forward. We don't need a vote on this, do we, Melanie? Just direction?
We have the motion on the second for
Yeah, but direction can just be, okay, you have clear direction.
Okay, thank you.
4 of us.
Thank you.
Item 9D, discussion and possible action regarding the draft drinking water system master plan and prepare an updated drinking water system capital facility plan. Wendell.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. The main purpose of our presentation this evening is to give you an overview of the master plan. It's not to go into a lot of detail or to even ask for your approval this evening. We would appreciate any comments that you have about what we're going to be doing is, first of all, we'll present this evening, and then on November 12th, we have an open house scheduled for the public to come and make comment, as well as council, feel free to come and be part of that as well. But we haven't updated the master plan since 2007, and several months ago we brought a professional services agreement to you. You approved it to have Hansen Allen Luce prepare an update of that master plan. One of the unique things about this master plan is that not only are we looking at some of the hard facilities that we need to construct, but we're also looking at energy efficiency as we construct these. And so part of the proposal is a study that includes an energy efficiency study. So I'd turn time over to Steve Jensen of Hansen Allen Luce, and he'll make the main portion of the presentation.
Good evening. To get right to it, as Wendell mentioned, we took a sustainable approach to the master plan, where we looked at not only the system performance, which is usually done in a normal master plan, but we also looked at energy efficiency and water quality, and as the chart alludes to, we looked at the optimized conjuncture of these three aspects of the water system. And I will mention some examples of the energy efficiency. To report how your system uses water, your city uses water, this is indoor water is down here, and this is over 1 day period, and these are in gallons per minute. So the city uses this much indoor water. This is the outdoor water use during a peak day during the summer, and the combined indoor and outdoor, you use a total of almost 70,000 gallons on a peak day. And as part of the master plan, we looked out to what we refer to as build out to 45 years into the future, which predicts a peak at that time of closer to 100,000 gallons per minute. You're discussing several developments coming into your city. You have land for development, and so this master plan looks at how are you going to deliver water to those developments. Here's the guts of the master plan, the plan of how you will deliver water from this side of the city up to where you have land that is developable. The main difference between the last master plan and then this updated master plan, just a few nuances different. We have a pipeline that was added to help deliver water and lower the fluctuation of pressures down in the lower system and better utilize storage. We also, related to the same area, we added a storage tank that was not in the previous master plan to help distribute the storage of water and delivering it to where it needs to go. The third main item that was different from the last master plan included a plan to have storage for Zone 5, which is generally this area, in the zone above it, and so that the water would be pumped from a lower zone past the zone that it serves up to a higher zone and then be delivered back down to the middle zone, if that makes sense. In this study, again, as Wendell indicated, we looked at energy efficiency and did an analysis of how much more that costs than if we just delivered the water to the zone that's being served. And the upfront costs were the same, but the long-term energy costs were very favorable. And so that was a change where we added storage tanks in this zone here and here that were not in the previous master plan. Other than that, yes.
Can I ask you just a question? So
absolutely.
What you're stating is that we pump it up and then gravity out. That works better efficiently long term. Is that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
As you know, it costs a lot of money to move water. And we talked about solar panels, but one of the best ways to save and be more sustainable is to be more efficient. And there's many opportunities to do that in a water system.
Okay, thank you.
And this is one big one. The other thing that's in the master plan is, don't be worried about the details of this, but a SCADA system is what controls the pumps and allows the operators to see what's going on in the system. And one additional thing that was done in this master plan is look at the SCADA system, which is getting old, and it's hard for the operators to efficiently operate the system. So one of the recommendations is to do an upgrade of the SCADA system. That is in a nutshell, my presentation of the master plan, and I'd love to entertain questions if you have it.
I just have one question. What would it cost do you have an estimated cost to update the entire SCADA system so that it can be operated all in, I guess you'd call it, all combined?
Yeah, so, and Wendell, you can correct me if I'm wrong. It depends on what type of SCADA system, what gets added to the SCADA system, et cetera. But I think it was less than $20,000 that's in the master plan, if I'm not mistaken. Do you remember that?
I think it was more than that, but
it's always more.
But an updated system would really help us in controlling the water system. Right now, we just monitor what's going on. We send out staff to
It's done manually, a lot of it now, and it could be all done remotely. Is that?
Yes, we can do that.
That's correct.
I asked you a question that you weren't prepared for.
That's all right.
I just think that we can expedite updating and upgrading our system, because long term it'll help us immensely.
We agree.
23,000? Is it total? You think it's more than that, Wendell?
We can go back and research that and get it to you.
There's a lot of parts.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Other questions from council? Councilmember Hagan.
So, as far as the storage, I mean, that's long-term capital expenditures. I saw the red marks, but
yeah.
What's the projected time in the future that we need to build those?
So you're basically on schedule. You've built a lot of storage tanks recently, and that's to keep you on schedule with. Again, we're looking at state standards and what's required for a water system. And so you're on schedule. So all the new storage facilities would be to keep up with development. So it depends on where the development is occurring and the timing of the development. Again, we're looking out 45, 50 years into the future.
All I would ask you as our consultant is to make sure that the new tanks that need to become online, that we have the impact fee schedule such that it picks up the cost so that the existing residents don't have to subsidize the new development. That's
correct.
I think the entire council is on board with making sure that we do that.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, we had item E pulled, and since Sophie left, I guess we could bring that back next meeting.
Yeah, I was going to say, looking at it, it looks like there's no requirement to have it done until February 2016, so putting it off till next week meeting, I think would be fine. Is that?
No. It has to be submitted to the state court system by October 30th. Your approval and the security plan. I mean, we can do it on the 28th, but it has to be sent to them by then.
We better vote on it tonight then. The 30th of October?
Uh-huh.
Okay, consent item E. Approve resolution 15-190 approving the recertification of the City of West Jordan Justice Court. Darian.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The State Judicial Council requires us to recertify our Justice Court every 4 years to ensure that it continues to meet the requirements from when it was initially established. We have enough filings that we are a Class 1 court. Our Justice Court judge, Judge Coons, has completed all the information on the affidavit that the state requires, indicating that we meet all of those requirements. And then I also have reviewed the state statutes and the state rules. I included some of those in the staff report for your reference, along with a letter recommending that we recertify the court. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Question? Councilmember McConaughey.
Can you confirm the date that this is needed? Because this says, in here it says February 2016.
So the commencement date of our next 4-year period will be February 1st, 2016. But the Judicial Council requested us to submit all of this documentation. And I don't remember the exact date, but I know that was why we scheduled it on this council meeting, was in order to meet their deadline.
Did they just barely submit this request?
I don't believe so. I think we've had it for we had it for a couple of weeks before we scheduled it on the agenda.
Yeah, this was sent to the city of West Jordan, to the mayor, and then to my office on August 22nd. And then it was forwarded on to the judge. So they've been working on this plan since then. And it is stated in the letter, it's nowhere in the requirements, but it says all 3 components of the recertification application are due at the administrative office of the courts by October 30th of 2015. The certification doesn't expire until February, but we have to get this to them, and I think the reason it's so early is so that they can review it and they've got so many courts. I don't understand why it's so early, but.
No, thank you. My reason for asking was, it seems rather frequent where we get something on the agenda and, okay, we absolutely have to take action right now, and that gets really, really frustrating. But seeing the timing, I kind of understand. Still wish it would have been sooner so we had a little more breathing room. I mean, heaven forbid, one more of us sick or not able to make it, we'd be stuck. So.
You can table it to the 28th if you want.
No.
I see. I move to approve consent item E. A motion by Mayor Rolfe and a second by Councilmember Haga. Discussion of the motion? Seeing none, let's vote.
Mayor Rolfe?
Yes.
Councilmember Hanson?
Yes.
Councilmember Haga?
Yes.
Councilmember McConaughey?
Aye.
Vote passes 4 in favor.
Any remarks or motion to adjourn would be in order?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Looks like there's no opposed. We are adjourned.
Wendell, before you head out, I do have a question about resident request for
Scott?
speed bump.